everybody and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm here with my tea, which I am not very fond of. I just found one. I ran out of my favourite one. This is a pucker mint tea. It's alright. And I also got my brother's Lord of the Rings mug to start this vlog off. But hello and welcome so much. Today I thought I was going to do something that I haven't done before. That is a tag. Well, I've done tags before, but this is a language learning tag which I found online on a video which referred to the original creator, ophelia, vert, which vert, like French, like green. I used to watch her channel, but she has removed all her language content channel because I believe she's now, or she studied to be a historian. So anyways, it's her questions, and it's just of like a few questions about language. And since my channel is or has been, or whatever, is a language channel or has been a language channel, who knows, but it involves languages is what I'm trying to say. So I thought I wanted to answer those. So the first question being, they kind of start a bit like, not negatively, but on that side. Which language do you never make time for? And I don't actually have a language which I am neglecting. I have many languages which I love, or I want to learn and such, but the only problem is that I've figured out for myself that the best thing to do when learning languages for me is to work on one language at a time. So there can be many in a queue, but I cannot do two at the same time. It doesn't work. I have to fully immerse myself into a language. And yes, so at that moment, I'm sure most people know, I'm studying Russian. So Russian is my main language at the moment, and I know a bit of French and such, and I want to but fix my grammar things. And there will be a video somewhere in the future. I would very much like to make a video where I'm trying to like fix my grammar and all its tenses and everything that I'm struggling with. I've told you guys before about that idea, and I think people would like it. But yeah, so it's Russian. And what language don't I make time for? Well, all the languages which I would want to learn, and all fix something that is in the future. But I know some people manage to say that, oh, I'm learning 2 languages at the time, or 3. I don't think that actually works. I think you can learn, or that depends, you can learn a bit from each, but you have to fully immerse yourself in a language. Like, my goal is to be fluent in any language like I'm trying to learn. So I don't have a goal of being okay in it, or like just conversational. If I want to do that, I could have like 4 languages and trying to do that at a time. I just, even that, then don't think that would be the best solution or like method to that approach. But yeah, I mean, I'm saying that as I know, like, my goal for French is definitely not well, I would be fluent, but I think it's very work. And but I'm as I'm saying, I'm going to get back to that video, and maybe my mind will be miraculously changed from that. Oh, this is so interesting. Second question, which language do you think you'll never learn? You know what, just the thought of having, I don't have a plan of being this person who knows every language in the world, which is absolutely, I wouldn't say that is impossible, but it is a tiny part of me that feels a bit like sorry for all the languages. Like, oh, I know that I'm never going to get across to every language, and that is like, because there's so many beautiful pieces and culture and everything in each language, which I'm never going to experience that way. However, which languages I'll never learn, when learning anything or studying for anything, there will always be something you just are dragged towards, attracted to, and some things you're not attracted to. That does not mean anything negatively, of course, about the language or anything. It's just you don't have that drive for it. Because people ask, often people who learn languages, like, how do you do it? How do you not a, I mean, I have like so many disclaimers. A lot of people learn languages, but if you do it like on your own and something, people ask like, okay, how can you do that? There's so many languages. I would love to learn Italian and French, but I never come further than just some conversational starters when on vacation. But the thing is that you'll have to have this internal drive, and it starts as motivation, but then it's just discipline, and you set yourself a goal. I want to achieve this, for example, fluency, and then you just work towards it, and then you get it, right? Because you just spend a lot of time on it, and therefore you will be good. So there's no magic about it. It's just that you're consistent about it. So that is with everything else, that most people, if yes, someone can be like naturally flexible, but if you do a certain activity like football, like I wouldn't really say gymnastics, you can, but people will progress, right, if they're interested in something and spend a lot of time on it. So that's just how that works. But which languages I will never use? I am not attracted to all the languages which are close to French at this moment. It's weird. I've said before, I learnt a little bit of Spanish before I started French. So when I did that, I loved Spanish, and then I never finished. It was just like my neighbour friend, teaching me some Spanish. But I thought, oh, I'm going to study Spanish in my like second foreign language in school, but I didn't. I chose French. So now for me, after learning French, Spanish and what else? Spanish and Italian, Portuguese, I'm not interested in. They're too close to French, and also I do understand a tiny bit of them and can read and such a bit, you know, so because they're very close to each other. So that naturally is languages which I'm not attracted to because of a different language I have. But I have some languages which I've never been attracted to whatsoever, and that is a lot of the Asian languages, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, but I don't have an ear for it. I don't know if, I mean, people will have to have an ear for it, but I can't. I've watched, I've never had like an interest in that, but because I thought it's so difficult. But I also hadn't really been exposed to much of the languages. But I did recently watch a Chinese drama, like I was going to say a K-drama, it's not called a K-drama, but like a drama. And I have now been exposed to Chinese, but I can't tell a word. I can't recite a word of Chinese. I haven't learned anything, right? I watched this Turkish drama, I hadn't heard any Turkish, or like on the news, but I couldn't like, what is Turkish? How is that? Can you try and like mumble anything that sounds remotely Turkish? No. But I watched that, and then I was like, afterwards I was like, günaydın tatlım, like I had words, and I could understand like, okay, that's when a word starts and ends. But with Chinese and Asian languages, for me they sound, I can't differentiate them, so I don't think it comes natural for me at all. So those are languages I'm not interested in. So not like Spanish languages, not like Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, that's Romance languages, even though I know French. I'm not interested in those. I'm not interested in, as I just said, I was going to say Asian languages, could you even say that? But yeah, like Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Vietnamese, and so on. Indian languages. So that leaves me with the Slavic languages, which I have been interested in, and Germanic languages, which I already know and I'm familiar with, so I also understand things. At some point I wanted to do German, but since I already know Germanic languages, I'm like, would I like to do that? I'm unsure. Like, I would never do Dutch because it's too close to English and Norwegian. German I would have done, but Dutch I would never do. And Afrikaans, it's it seems to me, for me, it's like Swedish and Dutch together. Like, I understand so much, but I feel like it's too difficult because I wouldn't know. Yeah, it seems unnatural for me, like, because I wouldn't do that well, I believe, so I haven't started. So yeah, so mostly that was my answer for the languages which I will never learn, which I'm sure are beautiful and everything, but they don't attract me at all. Third question: what's your most expensive, least valuable language related investment? What? Oh, I really have to have a think. My most valuable thing I've spent money on that hasn't given me anything. I would actually, after some thought, say that I don't have anything, because I don't really spend money on any learning material, so to speak. But so I would say none that I have found no value in. Well, I said that and now I found one. But that's just because of my level. So what do I spend money on? So firstly, I buy myself notebooks. That's valuable, but that's not, I mean, it's just me writing down things. I bought, I mean, also like pens and such, but I bought this, which is so handy and upside down, for my keyboard. It's starting to be very used, but I have the Cyrillic keyboard here. I like this. I wish I only had the Cyrillic one, because I've got the Cyrillic and the Latin, which some have like the same one. It's very confusing, but this has been handy. And I also have this, like short stories. Love this. I bought, this is for beginners, but I also bought the intermediate one because I like to go hard out and just too difficult, yes. But it was way too difficult. And I asked my friend, like my language exchange student friend, and she was like, there is so many words that she's never heard of, she would never use, they're like very old. So I was like, I was abandoning that, and I watched her book. She's learning Norwegian and she had the beginner one. I was like, you don't need like more difficult than this. I mean, I haven't looked in the difficult one, but yeah. So that's also a tip to people who are buying that. So the beginner one, because it's stories, you don't need, I mean, if you think this is very easy, you could go further, but just normally I would go for this, because I don't want to learn a lot of words which I cannot use. So if you do have a book like this, and if you have a friend, someone you know that knows the language, go for it. Madres! My mum's phone just rang and she was like behind the door, and I was just like screaming Madres, because I always do that. I say I don't want to learn Spanish, but I always, or not always, but I sometimes, very often say like when my mum calls, I'm like hola, I'm like Madres. So that's the relationship I have with that language. But yes, so what would be my most least valuable thing was the other book in a too difficult, and I wouldn't say outdated, but the words I couldn't really use them. Well, not all of them, but like some of the words. Other than that, this is like the only thing kind of I have a material for Russian. I don't have any Russian like ABC books or like I don't have any grammar books. I only use online, so there's not that many I could have bought that was wrong or I didn't like. I don't like grammar books at all. That stuff, like really like the school books that I had for French and such, which just started with where is the Eiffel Tower and ended up with sentences like if I were to. It was way too difficult for us at the time. We didn't understand anything of that. So it was just the A to B, and it's just like, here are all the rules. I don't like that. So I've never bought books like that either. I remember going to the library when I was younger, before I started learning French in school, and that was the time where we went to like, not early 2000s, but like mid 2000s, it's not mid, but like 2000, what could it be, 10, and Mum and I got this, loaned this for the library. You know, you just got like a big like box with this book, and then DVDs which you're going to supposed to listen to the sentences for a grammar book, and like that is not valuable to me. That is, don't waste your time on that. I mean, if you don't, it could work for you, but I really don't think so. So yeah. What's a lie you tell to non-language learners to try and get them to learn languages? I actually have none. I don't say anything to language learners to learn a language. You know, I don't really have conversations about that to people. But I mean, I have one friend, Lisa, who is learning Japanese and German. And we talk about things, but she's already a language learner, so I think it's easier than it seems, but technically not. It's just about the same things that people complain and argue about. Oh, working out is so hard. Well, is it hard? No, it's not. It's just consistency and discipline, and just doing it, then you'll get results. And that's how it is for everything. And that's how it is for language learning. For me, when I'm following the schedule, it's easy for me, but I understand when people don't follow it, it's not easy. No, you're not going to get results if you do French 10 minutes on a Wednesday, 1 month. You know, that's not going to lead anywhere. The last question is, you're too tall. What's your language learning guilty pleasure? And I don't have any. I was just thinking about, like, I don't. I just sit down with my book and I watch YouTube videos. I like just write in my book words and things I don't like. What I mean, I'm gonna rephrase. What I like to do. What even is the name? The word for that in English, like. Diktant, which is just someone say, oh, I love that in school. Okay, maybe, yeah, someone saying a sentence and then you're going to write it however you think it's written, and then you move on, and then later on they will show you how it is. And I remember I've had that, not in every language, I've had that in, well, I mean, I've had that in school. Like, I remember so much, I loved it whenever they were like, we're going to do that, and I was like, I absolutely love it. And I was like, oh, what are the word? And I wanted to know the word, and I was like, oh, how do you spell? Well, I have no clue. And sometimes you do have a clue, and it was my absolute favourite thing to do when I'm actually thinking back to those memories and like that time. So I love to do that as well. So I go back and do them so many times. I go back and watch sometimes often the same vlogs again. I have one vlog which I watched so many times, I feel like I understand it now, like, so, not everything, but like very well. But it's even, you know, I've studied that vlog, so it's not like I'm that understandable. I don't understand that much, but, well, I do, but I'm like, when you've studied the vlog, it's not like pure, oh, I understand exactly what he says. It's like, yeah, you do, because you went through it so many times. But other than that, what have I, guilty pleasure, I just have like normal things that I like. I don't have anything like, oh, this I can't speak of, this is just a weird thing. Like, I don't have any of those weird things. I mean, I listen to a lot of like Russian songs, which I don't know what they're about, and I'm jamming about, and then as more as I'm learning, I go through the lyrics on Spotify, and I'm like, what? Oh, I would have never chosen this song if I knew what some of these were about. So maybe that's a guilty pleasure, I don't know. I've watched, like, I don't think I have I don't think I have any. So yeah, but that was the language tag. Ophelia Vert on YouTube has supposedly made this, so thank you for that, and thank you so much for watching, and give me feedback if you like such a video like this. I think it was fun, and I want to know your answers to the questions, so please, if you want, leave a comment if you are a language learner. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week. Bye.
Lights are shining bright. My friends are in the club. We'll go all night. I see you in the back. The mood is right. If I just had your number, I would let you know how I feel.